Hey guys, so let's hit this. So while everybody's starting to stream in, make sure to hit up in the chat where you're calling from, who you are, where you're tuning in from, and I'm excited. We're going to dive right in. Today we're going to be focused a lot on comping and how we can make the most out of our comping and make sure we're giving solid offers on properties. Hopefully that helps as well. But yeah, so make sure to drop in the chat. Let us know where you're, who you are, where you're located at. And if you have any questions, make sure to keep those two at the very end. We're going to make sure to save about 20 minutes for Q&A at the very end, but we're going to dive in really hard to comping today. I know, especially in today's market, how the market's been shifting. There's a lot of questions around comping. So we want to make sure to be able to answer a lot of those questions and get you guys moving in some forward momentum there. So perfect. All righty, we'll give it just another minute, maybe two, and then we'll take off. So make sure to drop into the comments where you're coming from. Cool. All right. Oh, nice. I see a couple people plugging in. Okay, so we've got a couple people down in Tampa, Florida. That's their market. Another one up in North Carolina, Cincinnati. Okay, love it. Yeah, so make sure to keep plugging into the comments. Let me know where you're at, what market you're in. Today, again, we're going to focus on comping. If somebody has a property, love seeing all the comments. Robert and Luke both plugging in there. I love that. And if somebody's got a property that they want us to be able to focus on, go ahead and start to throw them in there. Again, we're going to be focused on comping today. How do we comp? How can we be the most efficient as possible when it comes to comping? And I would love to I would love to get all of your guys' feedback there too. And leave it to Kirsten to throw in the goofy comments. So perfect. All right, so let's dive into this thing. So first off, does anybody have any properties that they would like for us to be able to go ahead and do comping on? I do want to go through a couple just basic comping information. Oh, perfect. Crystal, love that. All right, we'll use that as our first one. Let me pull up one thing really fast. I want to make sure to reference this so that way I can get everything set up for you guys. Perfect. All right. So, all right, let me share my screen really fast. And we will. Luke, I don't totally understand your question or comment. All right, so we're going to dive into this thing. Let's get it. All righty. So, can everybody see my screen? I'll take off the banner. That way we're not distracting on the bottom. But, and again, if you're coming from Facebook, oh, Luke, you have about 5. Perfect. Plug them in the chat and we'd love to dive into them if that works. So, all right. So I know Crystal, she plugged in one really fast. So we're going to just dive straight into this one first. So 640 Scenic Drive, Lewisburg, Tennessee. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to go a couple different ways that you can comp it, and we'll comp it through the different ways, and then I want to go through and then talk about the comparison of, I mean, maybe we'll see some fluctuations in how we would comp it. And so we'll comp it in a couple different ways, give you some different numbers, and then get you teed up so that way you can go ahead and just make some offers, and let's make it happen. So this one, obviously active on market property. It looks like that's your strategy right now. Love it. And so we're going to dive down here. So I'm looking at the outside really fast. The first thing I'm going to do when I'm looking at this is I first want to get a feel for the finishes in the home right now, kind of the layout of the home. And then also, because it already looks like it's a split level right now, right? So it looks like half step up, half step up. So I'm going to try to look for other split levels like that. And then this one is a, let's see, Here it is. So it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, almost 1,400 square feet. It does have central air. Let's see. Has heating and all that other stuff. Great. Awesome. So if we're looking through here, I'm seeing it looks like the floors are in pretty good shape. I mean, it looks like they're even kind of cleaned up and buffed. I don't see anything massive. The kitchen is a little dated. Appliances are a little bit old. You know what I mean? This old, like super rustic farm style has kind of faded already, where people are much more into a modern style look. It looks like they might have had something like blocking part of this window. So, because there's like paint and stuff like that. So obviously this would have to be cleaned up. So far it doesn't look like there's a massive amount of stuff. I mean, it's just a little dated in a couple spots, but to be honest, a lot of it doesn't even really need a whole lot there either. Some older, just like wood windows. These either could be painted or you could just leave them how they are. I mean, it just depends on what the comps look like. We'll look at that in a minute. All right. And yep, I love this old school pink tile. I don't know why pink tile made a run for it back in, I don't even know when. Old school lights up here too. And this looks like one of those little vanities that I can't tell from this angle, but it looks like one of those open up like medicine cabinet vanities. Let's see if there's another picture. No. So this looks like new flooring, old fan that would want to be replaced. So really, I'm not seeing a whole lot here, to be honest. It actually looks pretty clean. I can't tell. So this must be the master then. If it's got the built-in bathroom right off of it, it's probably the master. This obviously should be replaced or cleaned at least. Yep, and then a little bit of tile. This one actually doesn't look too bad. I'd get a bigger mirror and update the windows or the lighting, and then I mean maybe rip out the tile and do something new. But that might be a lot of expense. It might not need it based on the comps in the neighborhood. So the good old stainless steel stuff in there. All right, so carpet in this bedroom. I can't tell if this window is crooked or what that is that's sideways. It's either the window or maybe it's the screen. I don't know. So we'll have to, I don't know, I'd look at that. But again, these are all minor things. Really, I'm not seeing a whole lot that would make me nervous. Basement looks dry. It actually looks like this. So they've already thrown up this wall here too. You can see all this water along. Oh, okay. So that's going to be something. You can see there's water along the base over here. And I can't tell, is this this is the garage. So there's been some water issues of water backflowing into the house. And we'll look at that in a minute, seeing the slope on the driveway and stuff. But you can see there's water marks along this side over here. And then there's water stains all along the base over here. So being down in the basement, that's something that we see a lot. I'm guessing that's this. Yep, it's right back here. So let's figure out really fast what could be causing that. So we don't see the other side of the garage, I don't think. Yeah, no, they took the pictures from the same side. So my one concern would be on the back side, like behind where this person's taking this picture. My guess is based on the way that the house flows, that there's probably water coming down, and I wonder if it's seeping into the back there and then flowing out, because this actually slopes away from the house pretty well. So that'd be the one thing, is I'd be looking at water there. And then you got your carport up here. To be honest, the exterior of the home actually doesn't look too bad. It looks pretty clean. You got your air conditioning unit right there. I can't tell a whole ton from it right there, but it looks like it's not at least like super rusty from a visual standpoint from pretty far away. So I can't tell some of these beams. It looks like some of them might be a little rusty. But again, we're starting to get kind of nitpicky. It's really not a terrible place. It just needs some love, right? It just needs a little bit of touches. The roof looks like it could probably be redone. That one does look like it's kind of towards the end of its life. You can tell by all the streaks and the texture. It's not super close, but at least at initial glance, yeah, that roof is probably towards the end of its life. That's my guess. I'd ask him how old it is, and it's probably getting there. So, all right, so condition of that home, you know what I mean? It's not going to need a whole ton of work. We'll have to look at what the comps suggest as far as like the how much you have to do to really update it. But we might be only around like 30, 35. The big thing is going to be that water, figuring out what's there. So let's dive into this. So we were looking at 640 Scenic Drive. Is that, let's figure out where we're at. I've already misplaced myself. Is it this one, the corner lot? Nope, 651. Where were we at? Oh, it's this one. Yep, that makes sense. All right, so why does it say sold for 180? Let's look at the purchase and sale history. So this was just sold like 2 months ago for 180. All right, so that is going to make me bring up one other thing. I know we said we'd look at Zillow only first, but I do want to pull up really fast Privy. I know I want to give you guys as many free ways to do all this as possible. I'm just going to dive into this to make sure somebody has a complete picture. But the reason why is I want to see how much changed here between the ownership previously and now. And is somebody just buying it and then trying to sell it now for $6,000 or $50,000 more than they bought it for? I mean, if the numbers work, great, more power to them. But my hunch is going to be that they really didn't do a whole lot to it. So, all right. So then here is the previous. I don't see any indication. I mean, this is all like Google Photos, so who knows how old these are, but at least from this Google photo though, and then this, I mean, even the front door is the same color. I don't know if you can see that, but no, that's not what I wanted to click. I thought I could make this bigger. But even that front door is still the red, the white. I mean, to be honest, so my guess is that somebody bought this maybe through a fresh coat of paint, because if you look through all of our pictures in here, these walls look very clean and fresh painted. So my guess is they buffed the floors, they painted the walls, and they said, great. And it was a super, super quick flip. They didn't put anything else into it. Basically like a wholesale, what we talk about. So for those of you who don't know what wholesale is like a wholesaling strategy to be able to then put it onto retail, onto the retail market. So it is taking a wholesale strategy, a wholesale price. Sometimes you can do super minor fixes to just try to get top market price. And it's kind of putting like lipstick on a pig kind of mentality, right? So what you're doing is the house may be okay. It may not need a whole ton, but if you get it at a low enough price, you can just throw paint up on the walls, make it look fresher so it looks more appealing to somebody as they walk in. Because if this had been super dated with the paneling on the walls or the really old, what's the word I'm looking for? The paper, wallpaper. I should have known that. So the really old wallpaper up on the walls, you know what I mean? There's a lot of people who walk in and they see that and they don't have a whole lot of imagination. They see it, they say, yeah, this isn't the right home for us. But just even putting up a fresh coat of paint up on the walls, buffing out the floors, making it look really clean. You know what I mean? It seems like you can see how by shiny this is. Like, it looks like nobody's walked on this, which that's why I'm thinking that they just did that. So my guess is this is a wholesale. He's probably into it already for like 15, 20,000. Just by the stuff that they've done so far, because it is all cleaned up. You know what I mean? It's nothing massive, and that's kind of where we're at. Okay, so back over to Zillow. One of the other things I want to see is how long has this been on the market? So this has been only 7 days, so it's pretty quick. Hasn't been up on the market for very long. They're probably, I'm guessing their strategy is correct, and they are wholesalers. Let's read this. Sometimes this will help. Grassy lots provide nestled in a sweet and charming, well-established neighborhood. Your growing family or tenants will fit right in. Kitchen includes range of, yep. All right, so I would be willing to bet money that this is just another investor who bought this super fast, flipped around, wholesale it basically, because most people, when they're putting together a description, don't think to put your growing family or tenants. Most people just be like, yeah, like come invite your family straight in, because they're not thinking about tenants. But this is going to be investors. So we'll still go through component and talk about like what the price would be. So there's a couple of things that I want to talk about on this. Obviously, the main drive is on the scenic drive here, but it's a corner lot. So corner lots have a couple features to them. You don't have privacy of a backyard in the same way, because you now have a street that goes along the side. So if you have little kids or something like that, now you have no backyard really to encourage your children to be able to play around in, or a dog to run around in. To be honest, they've totally even built out their whole backyard was this driveway that went up. And so there really is absolutely nothing. The only yard you have left is over here. So that's actually going to hurt its valuation a little bit, which we'll have to see how that affects it. So it's a corner lot. I typically reduce my price just a little bit based off of that. So we're going to zoom out. We're looking at solds in the neighborhood. And we want to first see what's sold in the last 30 days. So we have two. Remember, this is our house right here. So Scenic and Berry. We've got one over here. This is a 3-2, same square footage. It's not a split level, so it's not an exact match. This is a ranch style. Ranch styles tend to get slightly more, in most communities, ranch styles tend to get a little bit higher of a purchase price just because there is a higher demand for individuals who don't want to deal with stairs and they're getting a little bit older. They will, sometimes they target just ranch style homes. So they tend to somehow get a little bit higher price sometimes. Obviously this one looks a little bit dated, at least from the outside, but it's a beautiful walk up. Obviously it's got a nice little backyard, very well managed, landscaped. Inside looks clean, some older furniture, but even the electrical appliances and stuff, they're fresher, they're newer. It almost looks staged, other than the fact that I don't know any stagers that would move something this big and heavy in. So I think they just cleaned it up really well. Or they were appealing to an audience. Maybe the stagers did move that in. Maybe they were appealing to an audience who might have a china cabinet. It is a ranch style, so maybe they're looking for an older buyer. All right. And so, yeah, so this is a really clean, similar type of thing. They got 320 Yep. So they got 320 for this thing, and that was just 4 days ago. So that's a very good comp. It is a ranch style, and it's not a corner lot. So I would already reduce a little bit off of that. Let's see what this 250 is. Also 3.2, a little bit smaller square footage, not a whole lot. Not quite the curb appeal. It doesn't have a whole lot of landscaping to it. It's just a lot of grass. Has the carport in the back. To be honest, that's the exact same garage door combination that ours had. And it has that slope to it too. So doesn't have the landscaping. The inside, once again, is paint and everything else. It's not a flip because you can tell by all the decorations. But you know what? It's not bad. I would say this is actually probably our better comp just because it still has some of those remaining kind of older features. It's not totally fixed up like the other one was in the same way. It doesn't have quite the curb appeal the other one had. Okay, so downstairs, they also have this small, a little sign of water down here. So that might be just something this neighborhood deals with a lot. It's hard to see over here what's shadows and what's water. Yeah, see, this is my concern with the other houses. If it's something like this where you can see there looks like there might even be some cracking in that corner where I'm guessing some water flows through if they get really heavy rains. Yep, and you can see along the bottom down here, there's some water stains down here too. So that might just be something for the area. Okay, so that to me is a pretty good comp. I think both of them aren't bad. Neither of actually this 250, it's also on it's sort of on a corner lot. It's got a street that goes here, but then it dead ends at their driveway. So I don't know if I'd call that a corner lot or not. It looks like they built the road to continue here to, this is what somebody ought to do, is find out who owns this land out here. Go get those under contract. And I will bet you if you can find the developer that built this neighborhood, that they will gladly come and purchase this land from you to continue this neighborhood out. But 2 cents for you. That might be a harder pitch to do. All right, so let's go back to our house up here. So I didn't see anything else. I think it was just those two comps. All right, so let's go back a little bit more. So that's kind of telling me already. So we had a 320. This one was really well finished inside. Here's a 250. I think we're probably a little closer to this one. And we are a corner lot. I know this is a corner lot, but it's kind of a fake corner lot. So my guess is that your ARV, again, I'm not calculating it just yet. I'll show you how to calculate it in a minute. But my guess, my gut check is telling me we're probably looking at like a 260, maybe 270. Let's go back a little bit further, just see what else we've got. All right, so we bring up a couple more comps, and these are all quite a bit lower. We only have one more that's up there around 300. So that might even shift us actually a little bit further. Another ranch style, it's not a split level, so it's going to have more value to that. Yeah, similar type finishes. So the big thing in the home that we're looking at right now is that they just don't, I mean, the biggest thing is actually it just has really dated electrical appliances. So whoever's flipping, who did this little wholesale, they should have just replaced the electrical, and I think they would get a lot more. But I think that they don't care about it so much. I'm also curious if this is there's the possibility this could be a retirement committee. I mean, I don't know, but I'd look at it. All right, so my gut is kind of telling me we're looking at this thing maybe closer to the 260 now because everything else is down below that. And a lot of these are in a little bit better condition. So, all right, so we're going to look at a couple of these. So this was our first comp. So for everybody who doesn't know what we're doing, I'm going to walk you through exactly what we're going to set up really fast. All right, so all right, I'm going to bring up Excel just so everybody sees exactly what I'm doing. We're just going to put this on the bottom of our screen for right now. So we're going to go through, say this is our first comp. This one sold for $320. It was, here, we'll just go down in a row like this. 1359 square feet. Oops. And it is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. That's all I want to know right now. All right, we're going to exit that one. I'm just going to bring this up so we can kind of look between the two. All right, our other big comp was this 250. This one was the other one. This one is sold for $250. And it was 1,200 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. All right, that's what we don't want to know on that one. Again, none of these are flip comps, but we didn't really see any flip comps in the neighborhood. And so all of them are just like decent, nice, as is kind of comps. All right, 306, 300. Oh, no, that's the estimate, sorry. 299, 900, 1467. This sold in September. This is a 3.2. All right. And let's go look at this one. We're just kind of going out a little bit. Did we already do this one? Nope. 254, 900. Sold in October, which is great. It's 1502. 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And our last one, I'm going to pull this one up here. Just because we're going to pull everything right next to it because they all look like they're pretty similar to each other. So we'll get a good average across everybody. So August, I mean, it's a little bit further back. We've had a lot more rate hikes since then, but we're going to still pull it anyways. And to be honest, I'm shocked because this is actually our lowest comp, even though it was back when the market was even hotter. And it's a 4.3. So I have no idea. Well, this one needed the most work. So maybe we shouldn't actually pull this one because that's not a, yeah, we're going to remove that. I thought we'd looked at this one already, but we hadn't. So the reason why, to kind of explain the reason why we're removing that is because as you look at the pictures up here, for those of you who can see, these pictures are showing that it's not in, nothing fancy about it, not fixed up, no new coats of paint. It looks like there's even paint on it. I don't know if you guys see that. It looks like there's even paint all across the baseboards. it's going to need some work. There's a lot of touch up in here. You know what I mean? Just dark stuff. It's not very appealing to a buyer. So it's turned people away. So this is not one that we'd want, because what we're trying to do right now is calculate our ARV, which stands for our after repair value. And so unless we have an ARV on the property, then, and we don't really want to use this calculating that ARV. So, oh, hey, Crystal. So I just saw your comment. So agent was saying she was trying to get investors before marketing it. Okay. My idea was to turn the basement into another living space and rent the top and bottom separately. Okay, perfect. Yeah, we can definitely look at that. So we can look at it as a rental. I'm looking at it first as a flip. So that's two other things too, is when you're comping things, you're comping them as usually one or the other. We're going to comp them as either a flip or a rental. If you're comping something as a flip, you're going to be comping it based off of ARV and how much work it takes to get it to that point, and then how much money you can then make from it after selling it as a flip. If it is a rental property, then you're going to be basing all of it based off of your cap rate and your return. So it's all about how much money, like the spread that you have and the cash flow that you get on a monthly basis. So really fast, just for everybody who's watching, I'm going to still go through. We're going to comp it like it's a flip. So up here, we're going to say we want to get the average price per square foot. And so I'm going to actually do this up here. So we're going to take our square footage of each one and divide it by the square feet. Take that across. We'll say equals average. And then we're just going to highlight all these. All right, so it came up with a 204. So for us, the property that we were looking at, get out of this one. Remember where this property right here. Okay, so this one is a 3-2. I'm going to just plug it over here to the side. 3-2, and it was 1387. So if we take this average price per square foot, we can say the price that this thing should sell for is that times our square footage of this house. So let me know if this doesn't make sense to anybody, but what we're trying to do, we're going to remove the zeros because that's just, oh, wrong way. What we're trying to do is figure out how much this house could sell for if it's all ready to go and fixed up. This is suggesting that we could sell it for 283. All right. One thing I will say too is when you do a gut check afterwards, make sure that that lines up with what you're kind of thinking on the property. It's been on the market for 7 days so far. I know, Crystal, you said that they're trying to get investors first. I would say probably the reason for that is because they have a ton of parking. It could be actually a decent rental because it's got so much parking and stuff like that, but it doesn't have much of a backyard. So they're going to get eaten up on the fact that there's no backyard and it's a corner lot. And so it's going to have a harder time for an end buyer elsewhere. So this is saying 283. So if we were looking at this as a flip, we would say, okay, 283 in today's market. What we're doing typically in a good market, people say they want 70. I'll write this out. 70% of ARV, again, after repair value. So that's what we came up with as our ARV right here. And so this right here was our after repair value. It's 283. I would say, again, gut check, I would actually reduce that if this was me comping this property, just because if I look at all of the other homes that have sold in this area, there's only these two in this back corner. And maybe there's something about this back corner that's a little bit nice, a little bit Can you guys hear me now? I don't know what happened. My computer keeps wigging out. My camera's shutting off, and then my microphone is switching back and forth. So we're going to have to figure out what's going on here. Great. Okay. Yep. So let me know if you guys have a hard time hearing it again, let me know. Sorry, I don't know exactly what's happening. My computer's wigging out on me a little bit. All right. So I'll recap a little bit. I don't know where it cut out before. So if we're looking at this as if we're trying to calculate right here, our purchase price for a flip. In a good market, you're looking at 70% of ARV, so after repair value, minus your rehab, minus your wholesale fee. On this one, we said, based on the comps, originally I said probably around 30, maybe 35,000. To be honest, I don't even know if you need that much, because when we looked at the other stuff, it really doesn't need a whole lot. I would probably actually put this closer to 20,000. And let's say you want a $15,000 wholesale fee. Let's say you want a $15,000 wholesale fee. And right here, we're going to take our 20% of ARV. So this times 0.7. We're going to take our purchase price minus wholesale minus rehab. I think I said those backwards. So that would say that our purchase price for this would be 163. Obviously, they're marketing this thing. Let me define it again. Oh, I went to the wrong house. Here we go. So they're marketing this thing at 230. You know what I mean? What we would be trying to lock it up for is less than they paid for it. Because if we look at our price history again, I'm going to slide this down. Remember, their price history showed that, let's see, it was sold, when was it? Yeah, September for 183 or 180, which obviously it looks like they probably put a little bit of paint stuff into it. So I don't think that would work. Now, Crystal, I know you said that you were looking at this thing to be able to turn the basement into another living space and rent out the top and the bottom separately. So let's look at that path. So if we go back up to the overview, what we're going to try to do is figure out how much money we can make in rents. So we can take our property address. Another great software is Rentometer. This is another one that you can access for free. You're allowed so many polls every single month. At this point, or you can sign up. I think at this point I've just signed up for it. But so we're going to go in here. It's 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. So it just comes out there. So if we say analyze, so this is saying the typical home, and wow, these comps are all over the place. But so the orange dot is where this house is. And there's not a whole lot of other information, but they've got these 3 that are green and then the 1 red. And so green shows it's under that median price you can see on this price range. So green could be anywhere from like 978 all the way up to about like that 1343. And then red, which I'm assuming this one out here, has got to be like a giant farm that's renting for high. So you got one in here. So I would probably, I mean, it says the median's up here. The average is around 1,700. I would probably round that down just a tiny bit, especially if you're splitting it into a split level. That would say we could get for the 3-2 on top. I would be conservative around a 1,600. Where did it go? So we're going to go in here and we're going to say, so for the top, for the 3-2, let's say it's at 1,600. And then let's say you're able to build a small little studio downstairs for a 1-1. And on that 1-1, let's see what a 1-1 would get in this area. So then you're looking at around like a 750. And again, it wouldn't be a whole house. So I always like to play things conservatively. So I'm going to say 700. Add up both of these, saying that it's about 2,300 every single month. Now, there's something called the 1% rule. The 1% rule says that in general, it is a rough rule. Let me just give that disclaimer. In general, you should be able to take your purchase price and that your rents equal 1% of that purchase price. So if you divide what your purchase price by 100, that's equal to your rents. Or you take your rents for the area and you times it by 100, you should get close to that. That is not a tried and true method, but it is a good starting spot to kind of figure out what you're looking at. So obviously with this one, they're asking, I think they're even asking 230,000. Yep. So they're asking, that might be how they came up with their price. And they're looking for investors, is that they're asking exactly that 1% rule. A lot of investors in today's market are looking to break that 1% rule. It used to be people focused on 2% rule. Then it went up to 1% last year when it was super hot. It went down to 1% last year when it was super hot. Now we're looking at a couple investors who are trying to get back to like a 1.5% just to hedge against risk. And so, I mean, Crystal, as far as I'm looking at, like, I mean, it could be a really decent rental. The big thing will just be your expense to be able to build out the basement, and then figuring out any type of repairs and any type of damage that you need to look at for water damage down in the basement. So hopefully this helps. Crystal, if you want to throw in the chat, let me know, is this helpful to you? Like, do you have any additional questions that you wanted to dive into on here? Got it. Cool. Well, great to hear that. Appreciate you, Crystal. So yeah, let us know how this goes. I mean, if you're going to extend an offer on it, if you decide to move forward with it, let us know how it goes. We'd love to hear some of the success stories from that. So perfect. All right. Any other properties that we can dive into? How are we doing on time? We've got just a tiny bit more time. All right. I'm going to go speed run really fast for you, Luke. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys, I've built out a calculator. Now, I'm not throwing up like the whole entire calculator. I just want to give you guys the simplified version of this, because this is pretty basic that anybody can do. So when we're looking at a property, we build out this calculator. Feel free to just copy off this part. You know what I mean? This is pretty simple stuff. And this is one thing that our team uses to be able to calculate our numbers. So I know, Luke, you've got a couple properties in here. Let's just plug in one really quick. So if we're going into 4356 Second Ave, South St. Petersburg, Tampa, Florida. Luke, I don't know if you know this, but I have never done so much in Tampa, Florida until you have been hopping on these Zooms, and I love it. So keep coming. So perfect. All right. So this one's for sale. The estimate says it's 257. Again, we know the estimate is not super accurate, but we're looking at a 1,300 square feet. So I'm going to get rid of this calculator down here. We don't need that anymore. We're just going to focus on this up here. And then I'm going to pull out this calculator so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing. Oh, why did it do that? All right, let's try this again. 4356. There we go. All right, cool. Okay, so we've got, I'm going to plug in over here. We got a 3.2. We've got 13, 14. You can look at rents. Really fast, we'll plug it into Rentometer again. This is going to be a 1.5 analyze. Okay, so this is saying that market rents in the area are about, let's look at the map. So it's actually pretty even spread. So if you've got good finishes, you could probably get up there around the 2,600. Because you can see that there's, I mean, you're not looking, it's not like, hey, all the reds are up in one section and all the blues are in another section and all the greens. I mean, this is a pretty nice even spread where you can see it's pretty well scattered, and it's probably based off of finishes and how well it looks. So let's look at this. So if we plug in 2,600 as our rents, And then we don't need to touch anything else down there. So now we're just going to dive into our comps. Okay. So this one is really fast to get to know the house. Obviously, it needs a lot of repairs. Let's look at this really fast. This is a lot. So it's going to need a lot of stuff to get it up. So if we scroll over here to our rehab, this is probably between an average and a heavy. We might just split the difference and go 45,000. To be honest, I think that's going to be a heavy because it looks like there's a lot that has to get pulled out. So I'm just going to clear that out. So we'll just go heavy for now. And then we're going to look at comps. Okay, so I really want to see the map view, and I can't see that unless I zoom out. All right, so this is the house that we're looking at. Just a little trick for you guys for Zillow. As long as you don't move the map and you just start zooming in, it'll zoom in on the specific spot that you were trying to target and where that house was at. We're going to look at just the last 30 days. All right. So we've got a couple comps here. So 318. Man, we have no pictures. All right. So when we have no pictures, I'm going to plug it in. Typically I like to go and do my realtor search to try to get stuff, but I'm trying to make sure to finish here so we can handle any different questions that you have at the very end. So I'm going to just speed run through it. So I would typically run into realtor, see how it looks. If it's really trashy inside, obviously that's not going to be a great comp because that's not an ARV type comp. So right here, we could do equals 318 divided by 968. All right, so 3 divided by 968. There we go. There's our first comp. This is only a 2-1 though, so let's keep a note of that. On here, we like to then take our link and then we'll plug it in here so we can reference it again. So I'm going to just keep note that that's a 2-1. It's not the best comp. You know what I mean? It's not very like kind. Right here, here's a 2-2, a little bit bigger, but again, we're looking at 360, 100 divided by 1026, 351, 36. All right, and then I'm going to take this for reference, plug it in here. Let's see what else we got. Again, neither of these are super strong comps because it's not even the same bedrooms and baths. I don't really want to cross. Again, remember, don't cross big streets. I don't know what it's like once you get up here. So I'm kind of targeting this section right here, right now, like between these bigger streets here. So we've got these two comps right now. I'm going to go back a little bit further. All right, so now we got a 415. All right, first 3-2. So this is a 410. Again, no idea what the inside looks like, but we are going to fill out the most that we can. So I'm going to plug this over here, and then I'm going to say 410 divided by 12, 28. That comes in, hey, right there in the middle. So that's good. That means that we're on track. And then let's see what this one looks like. Yeah, I'm not even going to use that. It's a 1-1. It is tiny. It's 400 square feet. Like, that's a shed. And I don't even know why that's being sold as a house. So that's not a comp. All right, so I typically like to have 4, almost 5 comps, but for the sake of time right now, we're going to keep it there. All right, so let me show you guys really fast what this calculator is doing. What it's going through is it's doing all that same stuff that we just did by hand, except for it's building this based off of kind of the inputs that we've already put. So if we're doing a typical heavy rehab, you know what I mean? Here's your price per square foot. It's saying our average price per square foot is a $337. It's going to times that by the square footage here. It's going to go into an ARV. So it's saying an ARV of a 421. That, again, I would gut check that, but that to me seems a little high because we didn't have any comps that were quite that high. partially because we didn't have anything else that sold that was this big of square footage. So when my gut is telling me that it's off, I like to just move it down a little bit, because then you always have a buyer who's like, hey, like you're telling me that this thing's worth 421, but not a single house in the neighborhood has sold for over 410. You know what I mean? Sometimes if you have the biggest house in the neighborhood, it doesn't help you. So what I will do is, this is at a 337 right now. So I'm going to just plug in something to see if I can pull it down a little bit. That was too far. If we do a 250. Yeah, I mean, you know what? I might leave it there for now just to see. And that's probably a little aggressive still. So I'm just going to pull it down. This pulls it down to about a 400. So if we're saying we think we can sell it for about 400, which I feel pretty confident about that, even in this market, you'd probably be able to get about 400 for it if it's done well. It's probably going to need all 50K, because when we looked at those other houses, they're selling for pretty high dollar prices. Again, we don't know what the inside looks like. So that would be some of that is just fluctuating your repairs based off of what you're seeing for the other houses. But I mean, one thing we could look at too is we could look at pendings. I didn't think about that. So here, let's go to, I mean, this isn't something that I use a whole lot, but you could look to see. Oops. By agent. Oops. Pending. There we go. All right. So there's 2 pendings in the neighborhood. Or no, I think it's just 1. 277. Great. Not a great like feel, because look at this, looks like a hospital. So, and then there's a 1.25 million. Oh, it's because it's all that land and it's a corner lot. Yeah. So it's going to be a commercial zone spot. Again, across the street, I wouldn't really look at a whole lot. I mean, here's one down here. It's on a busy street. This one, it says for sale, but it's supposed to only show pending. So maybe this is an issue, but all right. So we don't really even have great stuff for pendings there either. So we don't have anything there. But what this is saying, so let's say we could sell it for 400,000. We have to do 50K in rehab. Right here, it's saying we're doing 70% of ARV. We actually are taking out another 10% right now due to market uncertainty. And that's what I was saying earlier. In a typical market, you're looking at like 70%. Right now, our team is going through and we're doing, it's pretty much like 60% of ARV minus our rehab, just because by the time somebody flips one of these properties, the market has probably already shifted down. I mean, we've already shifted down like 30% in some markets just over the last couple months. So being able to account for that extra 10%, just really helps, and it's helped us disp our deals that much faster and making that much more commission on it too. So what it's saying is 70% of, or we reduce 10% off the top, and then we take another 70% off, pretty much equivalent to almost 60% of ARV. I know it's not quite exact the way that we're doing it. And then what it's going to do is it's taking off our rehab estimate. So right here, it's pulling heavy, which would be this one right here. So $50,000 for rehab. And then it's going to go over here and take off our wholesale fee for $15,000. So you can see right here, it says the repairs for fix and flips are $50,000. So that tells us that our buy price is at a 187. I don't remember what they were asking on this one. Let's go back. Is it this one? 4026. Nope. That was one of our comps. 4356. We'll just Google it again. So they're asking 270 on this thing. So you can see our buy price is coming in around like a 187. So I think, I mean, if we don't adjust for what our gut is telling us, what does that bring us up to? At 200, I mean, you're still $70,000 off from their asking price. So I mean, you got to have probably some pretty real conversations with that seller and just say, hey, how do we get to a ballpark that actually works and that's realistic for us? And then sometimes explaining to them, just being like, hey, I'm looking at all the other comps in the neighborhood, especially when you tell them nothing else is sold in the area for over like 410, or I think is what we saw in the last little bit. I know that they're slightly smaller, but when we're looking at it, you know what I mean? We're going to be at least 50K probably into this rehab. And so by the time I calculate all that and I try to just factor in a little small profit for myself, you know what I mean? do you see how like we've gotten down by the time we cover closing costs, everything else, a little profit for us. We're down. I mean, we're down around 180, maybe getting up to 200, but that's going to be tight. So anyways, hopefully that helps. Luke, do you have any questions on this one? I know this is a speed run, but this calculator right here has been super helpful for our team. And so I'd recommend you guys create something similar just because it's a super helpful tool to have. It'll give you a ton of help when you're trying to comp things quickly, just having something to build out and just plug stuff into. So cool. All right. I want to open it up really fast. I know we've got quite a few viewers on here right now. What questions do you guys have? Like, what can I do to help answer questions for you guys? I want to always leave a little bit of time at the end because comping may not be the thing that you're struggling with right now. So hopefully this helps. I mean, just to recap really fast on comping, make sure to look for good flip comps. Don't try to pull as is because it's going to skew your numbers. Don't try to pull new builds when you're looking at this. Try to pull stuff similar build years, similar bedrooms and baths, hopefully similar in square footage. If you don't have other stuff, you pull the best that you got. You know what I mean? You're going to pull the best that you have. But always, I mean, you guys heard me say it multiple times, do a gut check. When you do a gut check, it's going to help you be able to kind of figure out, hey, where do I feel like I'm at? Am I like on target with what I'm trying to come up with? Did the numbers seem to line up? And if not, then change what you're doing a little bit. Like, especially if it's pulling down, follow your gut. More often than not, my gut has been right. And so sometimes, I mean, especially if the numbers are telling you here and you're just saying, hey, that seems a little high to me, your buyer will probably be saying the same thing. And so pull it down just a little bit, just to make you feel comfortable. You're never going to get hurt by pulling something down a little bit further, just to give yourself some more wiggle room, and then try to run your numbers and see if you can get it there. But what other questions does anybody have? Throw something in the chat. Is this helpful to you guys? What feedback do you have? Should have done this. This would have been a bigger screen for you guys. Sorry. I'm still learning StreamYard a little bit. Any other questions or any feedback in here that I can help anybody with right now? Cool. Well, hopefully that's a sign that I helped walk you guys through it pretty well. But yeah, thanks for hopping on, guys. Obviously, you guys know we're going to be doing this every Tuesday and Friday from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. And yeah, please hit us up. Obviously, if you ever want to see the replays, they're going to be showing up on YouTube. This is our YouTube channel. So youtube.com/@JakeCrossREI. So make sure to hit us up there, and you can see these replays to kind of walk you through stuff. Or just go to officialjakecross.com and you can see different ways to connect with our team through Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever we've got going on right now. You know what I mean? You'll see it all there. So, but yeah, if there's anything else that I can help anybody with, please let us know. We want to help you guys as much as we can. We have an awesome team right now who is just chomping at the bit to be able to dive in and help you work your deals, and so we can make you some money. So, yeah, make sure to plug in and let us know how we can help you guys out. So have a wonderful day. If I don't hear anything else from anybody else, but have a wonderful day. Reach out to our team if we can help you at all. And I will see you guys later. See you Friday. See you then. Bye.